Apparently my battery died on my camera right when I took the oil pan off, but that's alright because I was pretty much done anyways. Just a few quick things, I guess, about the motor. All of the pistons and cylinder walls look fantastic. I don't see any burning on any of the pistons or score marks on any of the cylinder walls, so that's great. I'm glad we got a replacement timing chain, because this one definitely needs to be replaced. That is a lot of play for a timing chain. Should not be that much. Can cause issue with timing and misfires and things like that, and rob you of some horsepower. So it's good we'll be replacing that on this quick little rebuild here. I haven't really looked at the underside of the motor. I don't expect to find anything bad. Your oil pressure was good before I pulled this thing apart. It'll be good that we're getting new gaskets on everything. New head gaskets. I'll end up redoing that rear main just to make sure it's going to seal properly. This intake gasket, of course, was the worst. Being that it had all this RTV back here, I imagine the previous owner had an issue with it and tried to fix it with RTV, and it just kept leaking, which is where most of your oil was going. Potentially some oil was leaking out the front from the front timing chain cover, and maybe even the fuel pump, because the gasket in there was kind of iffy, and the surface to which the gasket was mating to didn't look all that good. It's kind of scored up. I'll smooth it out. Let's see, anything else? The lifters look fantastic. All of the tappets are nice and flat and shiny, so I imagine your camshaft is going to be just fine. No need to replace any of that. All of your push rods are perfectly straight. Didn't see anything wrong there. I was toying with the idea of replacing your intake manifold for something like an Edelbrock or something more, I don't know, more new that didn't have all of this extra stuff on here that you don't really need, but I can probably just plug up a bunch of the ports that aren't being used anymore now that you don't have an EFI system. There's a bunch of stuff on here that really just doesn't need to be here anymore. I don't really like this older style of intake manifold. It's got a lot of stuff to help with the EFI, start the van and get it warmed up and then get it over on its isolated cycle. But I think I can make this one work, so we're going to get everything really nice and clean. We're going to paint it so it'll look nice and pretty, get all the oil off of it and everything. I thought it was interesting. Normally I'm worried about breaking off bolts, exhaust manifold bolts in the heads. That's just something that happens when they're on there for a long time. They get in there really, really tight, and you go to pry them off and they end up snapping off inside the head. Well, none of these had that issue. In fact, they all came off very, very easily, which is great. I thought it was strange, though, that none of them had exhaust manifold gaskets. So the bolts were on kind of loose on the exhaust manifolds, and they didn't have gaskets. So that was kind of weird to me. I don't remember hearing any exhaust leaks on this motor. Maybe it's just something they did on these 351s. I'm actually going to look into that and see, because I found it very curious that when I pulled those exhaust manifolds off, there was no gaskets. Not that I'm complaining, I just thought it was interesting. The only other thing that I found that was an issue was one of the water pump bolts had broken off in the timing chain cover there. So I'm not sure if I maybe weld a nut on there and get it out, or if I'm going to have to drill it out, or I don't know. We'll figure that one out and we'll get a new bolt in there. We might get some new hardware all the way around for a bunch of this stuff. Got you a new water pump, new oil pump, a couple other goodies to go in here. So overall, good looking motor. Just needs a bit of a cleanup, re-gasketing, couple new parts, and should be good to go. Everything looks pretty good. Can't wait to get it cleaned up and show you what it looks like and get it back in the van. And as soon as I have the next video ready, I will let you know. Going as quick as I can now that I have some free time. Alright, peace.